All right, here we are, ready to get started. Well, good day to everyone. Good morning if you're on the West Coast, and certainly good afternoon if you're on the East Coast today. My name is Paul Butcher with Paladin Data. I've got Natalie Lee today joining me from Avalara. Our presentation today is on smarter tax solutions. And without much further ado, I want to go ahead and get started here. Let's see if I can move forward. Make sure I've got the slides advancing.
I don't see them advancing on.
Yeah, they're not. It might.
Okay.
There we go. It was a little slow. Okay, so with that, well, let's see. Yeah, Natalie, we've got Nexus concepts, exempt scenarios, and then solutions that you're going to talk about, right?
Yes.
Okay. And let's go ahead and move forward. Natalie, over to you. And did I lose you?
If you did, I believe I'm back. I apologize. It did seem like it froze a little bit for a second there.
Okay, well, I've got the slide up, the Avalara slide up for you, and you can start whenever, as long as you can see the slide.
Okay. So right now I'm still looking at the what you'll learn slide. Is
there we go. Better?
There it is. Yes. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Natalie here with Avalara. I am the dedicated sales executive for Paladin and wanted to walk you through what we see a lot of times when we're speaking with people who are interested in the integration, common pain points that they're having, and just a high-level overview of Avalara. We can go to the next slide. One more slide. Okay, so at a high level, Avalara has been in business since 2004. So there's other players out there in the tax world, but Avalara has been doing it longer. We've helped more than 41,000 customers streamline and automate their tax compliance, helping to manage over 31 million documents. And we integrate with Paladin as one of our integrations, but we have over 1,200 integrations. So if there's other places that you're calculating tax, we can integrate into that as well. We can go to the next slide. As I mentioned before, we've helped over 41,000 businesses. We like to share this slide because it shows some of the big players out there that we've been able to help, specifically in the retail and e-commerce space. Can kind of look through. There's, I think, my favorite name on the list is Crocs. So we're real big on Crocs in the house. So, but you'll see some other big names that we work with as well. We can move on to the next slide.
Before I do, I should just mention that Paladin is also a customer. We use Avalara Tax for all the various sales taxes that we face across the country. So just an FYI there.
The most common thing I talk to, or where most of my conversations start with prospects, are around Nexus. Nexus is something that you'll hear a lot. People will say, well, we only have physical Nexus in this state, and we're selling into all of these other states or these bordering states. We're crossing over these borders, but we're not registered there. And we can go to the next slide. And that used to be the case in the US. It was based primarily on physical Nexus. However, there's a court case, Wayfair, And all of the states realized that Wayfair was doing business in their states and they weren't making a profit off of it. And so there was a big lawsuit, and then came economic nexus. And all the states agree differently on what their economic nexus is. And in future slides, we'll show you some thresholds, but here's some ways that you can create nexus outside of physical presence. Multi-state locations. If you have a location, if you are doing maintenance, repairs, or services across state lines, if you own or lease any real property, host data centers, have service staff, field staff that are going out and doing repairs, or if you have online sales or you have an e-commerce presence, then you're possibly crossing thresholds and need to look if you have liabilities in the states. There's another common one that might hit home with you all is drop shipping. If you, I know some hardware retailers do drop shipping or things like that. It can possibly trigger nexus. And finally, having remote employees, sales folks on the ground in other states can also create nexus. We'll move on to the next one.
Yep.
This is the one that I talk to a lot of folks about on a daily basis, and this is the economic nexus. As you can see by the map, it's very complicated on what's going to trigger or how many sales are going to trigger that, and whether that's 100,000 in some states, 100,000 and 200 transactions, or 200 transactions, which can be different. And then you have your bigger states like Texas and California with 500,000. It's a little more difficult to cross the nexus thresholds in those states. But what I find a lot is companies doing business in neighboring states. They're not registered there. They've definitely crossed over that threshold. And it's important to keep tabs on that. And that's something that Avalara has built in to the solution, is automatic heat map that allows you to see when you are crossing over thresholds, how close you are crossing over thresholds. It'll actually track that for you rather than you needing to constantly run and update reports to see if anything has been triggered. We'll go to the next slide.
Trying.
Talking about neighboring states, I know a lot of times you'll have a physical location and you'll be kind of close to some neighboring states. Here's an example of the complexity in Colorado. Colorado is probably the worst state when it comes to jurisdictions. You can be neighbors with someone, and there's, as this example shows, you have one house that's at 4.75%, and the neighbor directly beside them is at 9.25%. I'd be pretty mad if I was that guy. So it's important to know that things aren't just based on zip code. A lot of companies might look at zip codes. They have all of their tax calculations mapped to zip codes. Zip codes are great for mailing for the post office. However, when it comes to your taxing jurisdictions, you very well could have multiple tax rates within that same zip code. So your tax jurisdictions are going to be different than just calculating tax by zip code. We'll go to the next one. Then you have product taxability. So in your stores, you're selling a lot of different items. You have everything from hammers to shovels. I assume there would be a lot of product taxability in that. Just to kind of look across the US as far as things that might be taxable versus not taxable and how much fun that can be. You have bottled water in Connecticut. If it's in a convenience store, it's taxable. But if you're going to buy that same bottled water from a grocery store, it's now not taxable. It's exempt. Toothbrushes in New York, it's taxable. In Pennsylvania, it's not taxable. Maryland software, if it's for individual use, not taxable. But if you're going to use it in your business, now it's I'm sorry, I said that backwards. If it's for an individual, it's taxable. If it's for business, it's not taxable. There were some recent changes though for SaaS in Maryland, which brings another point of even if that were correct yesterday, if new legislation went into place, now it's not correct. And now SaaS for businesses in Maryland is taxable. And if you're not insanely up to date on checking those emails and notifications that you get from your state and your jurisdictions to change the rates, then you could be behind. And of course, it would not be good to be charging the wrong rate. That's another baked in part of Avalara is as legislation changes, not only do we have all of the capabilities around product taxability, but we're able to update those in real time. So it takes away any element of having to stay on top of any of this.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another common hurdle would be selling exempt. A lot of times I'll speak with people and they say, well, everything we sell is exempt, so we don't have any liabilities. Or maybe you have someone in a different jurisdiction, state, across the line that is reselling products for whatever reason, or they're exempt because they're purchasing it for a certain use, and so they're exempt. You could still have some liabilities around that. In the orange states that you see highlighted on the map, those states count the exempt sales towards the thresholds that we talked about before. The blue states do not count those towards those thresholds. And then you have your funky hybrids, which are purple. And in those scenarios, it depends. Another thing to make sure that you're staying on top of with with your exempt sales is having exemption certificates. Another part of our solution helps with that. There's some states like the state of Florida where you would need a new exemption certificate every year if someone's reselling your product or they're purchasing exempt for whatever reason. You'll need to replace that exemption certificate on a yearly basis. Every state's different. Some states don't expire. And our solution keeps track of that for you. It has AI built into it, and you can run email campaigns easily to those companies to make sure that you've always got a fresh start for any of your exemption certificates that you need to stay on top of. We'll go to the next slide.
Looks like it's a build.
Yes. All right. So for this one, just go ahead and click through. So we've talked through some common hurdles around Nexus, and we've talked about our solution has a heat map to keep track of that for you and let you know when you've crossed over liabilities. We've talked about product taxability and how insane that can be depending on what you're selling, where you're selling, as well as legislative rules and things that change that could affect that and make things outdated in your system. We talked about exempt sales and how important it is to know whether something is exempt, but also if it is for resale purposes or anything like that, to have exemption certificates on deck. So you kind of get an idea of how complicated all of that can be. I love this slide because in a sub-second, Avalara is going to go through and figure all of that out for you in every transaction that it's calling out to Paladin for. So the first step, very first thing that happens is we're going to make sure that you've got the correct we're going to validate the correct address, drop a pinpoint on the map. That's going to tell us a lot of things, but also if you're shipping something, it's going to make sure that that product gets where it's shipped to and that you don't have an incorrect address. It's going to cost money from it getting sent back to you. It's going to check, well, do you have liabilities? Have you crossed over any thresholds in the state? Are you registered? And it's going to tell you, and it's going to apply tax if you are registered, but it will not apply tax if you've not registered in that jurisdiction. It's going to check, is the product taxable or not? Is it exempt? Is there an exemption certificate on file? And you can set it up to bypass and charge the sales tax if that customer has not sent in a valid or a valid exemption certificate. Or if it's expired, it's going to allow it to charge tax. If everything's good there, correct exemption certificate is on file, then it's not going to charge tax. It's going to move on to applying sourcing rules. There's some states that are based on ship to, and some states that are based on ship from. And of course, we like to make it extra complicated, and there are some states that are based on both. So you just kind of have to figure it out. Rather than having to spend all that time and hurt yourself, we're going to apply the right sourcing rules in that step and move it along to assigning the applicable jurisdictions. It will then look at each line item, since things can be taxed differently depending on what you sell, where you sell. It's going to identify the product taxability and apply that, and then save all of that in a nice report so that you can easily file your tax returns later, or you can use our automated solution to file returns as well. So that is our sub-second challenge and all the complexities that happen behind the scenes.
Wow.
And Avalara is really known for tax calculation. So a lot of folks come to us, it's challenging enough just to do that. Avalara has continued to grow over the years. As I mentioned, we do have the solution for exemption certificate management, keeping those where you can collect, store, and keep everything validated in the cloud. We have your tax calculation that we talked about, and then also we can automate returns. If you're doing any international business at all, you might have heard of e-invoicing and live reporting, which is a new capability for Avalara. And then we have our supporting products, which you'll see on that second line, licenses and registrations. We have a tax research tool, cross borders, and very hot right now is the 1099 tool that we have, because I know it's 1099 season. Everybody's trying to validate those right now in preparation to get those out next year. And we do have a great solution for that. And there might be there's some more integration. I'm not going to go over any of the last two lines, but just wanted to put them up there to show that what we have. We'll highlight support. We have new support at Avalara. We have some new managed support. It's more of a white glove treatment that we can make sure that you're taken care of through the implementation process, but also afterwards to make sure that everything's running smoothly for you.
Great. So I would just add, Natalie, that, from afar looking at this space, it sure seems like, depending on where you're at, this can be a really dynamic space. And that Avalara's value add here is just that you're constantly monitoring the changes that are going on and making sure that those rules are implemented in your software, right? So,
Yes.
We as store owners, store managers, accountants and whatnot, don't have to worry as much when it comes time to staying in compliance with the various jurisdictions that we're working with, right?
That is absolutely right. It's like you said, it's very dynamic. It's not static. Even if you had all of your rates in and you spent hours getting them in today, they might be incorrect by tomorrow.
And the other thing I would add, if you didn't know, Paladin, we have got a integration with Avalara. So if you're running Paladin Point of Sale, we have, and if you decide to look at Avalara products, we have an integration that's available that makes this all really seamless and easy. So the call to action, I guess, is if you're interested, we've got Natalie's contact information there, but you can just reach out to us at Paladin Data. Call our support number if you're interested, and we can help you get going along on this route. Answer any questions, certainly, if you have questions, and then connect you with Avalara as a next step. So, Natalie, any additional thoughts from you before we wrap up?
No additional thoughts. Look forward to helping some of you in the future with this if needed. And I appreciate you having us come on and just explain what we can do for your customers.
Okay. I'm not seeing any questions. Also, I got to remember to look down there if anybody has any questions, as I'm kind of summarizing the next webinar and some other information. Feel free to ask, and I'll keep an eye there. But our next webinar is Making Year-End Inventory Make Sense, December 2nd at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the Eastern Time. You can always take a look at the webinars that we are going to host, as well as historical webinars are posted up at the URL that's at the bottom of this page, paladinpos.com webinars. Also, I do want to just point out that in addition to the webinars, we do have a portal.paladinpos.com. And we've got a ton of information up there, KBAs and whatnot. If you've got questions, you can go up there and look at that site. And then, of course, our Retail Science newsletter goes out on a regular basis, and we've got that archived also up the website up here. We've got a lot of readers that follow our Retail Science newsletter and have great articles on there. I think we just published it as well this week. So thank you so much for your time. I don't see any questions. I appreciate you. And please give us a holler at Paladin if you've got any questions about Avalara or any other needs. Thank you and bye. And,